Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 132 of the Seezus Show. We're back, and we're excited to get into some more content. You know, the NBA is slowly winding down, so gotta definitely enjoy these next couple of weeks with the NBA Finals as well, too. But before we get into today's hottest topics, I always like to rehash last week's episode. So on episode 131, it was Terrence Whaley and Carl Conyers, and we were reflecting on round two, breaking down the conference finals predictions. Looks like Carl's always right. And and obviously John Wick Returns movie as well, too. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for my co-host, Carl Conyers. How you doing, buddy?
Trying to recover from a good holiday weekend.
Very, very good holiday weekend. I appreciate, like I said before we started recording, your second annual cookout. So that was great.
Yeah, man, out there on the grill all damn day, but it's definitely worth it. So
yeah. So if you guys need someone to hold it down for you, here's your guy right there as well too. Terrence Whaley couldn't make it today. He's in New York, long distance relationship. So just want to say what up to Terrence, and we definitely miss your energy here as well too. But hopefully we can, get through the episode and whatnot as well too. So we can go ahead and get started, man. Just reflecting on the Western Conference Finals first and foremost. The Nuggets ended up sweeping the Lakers 4-0 in the Western Conference Finals and advanced to their first NBA Finals. They outscored the Lakers by an average of 8.5 points per game and shot better from the field and the three-point line as well too. So about almost 50% from the field and 40% from three, which is insane. Nikola Jokic was an MVP of the series, averaging 27.8 points, 14.5 rebounds, 11.8 assists, shooting 50% from the field and 40% from three. He also set a record for most triple doubles in a single postseason with 8. And Jamal Murray, who shocked me the most, 33.6 rebounds, 5 assists, 2.8 steals, 1.8 turnovers, 53% from the field and 41% from three, 95% from the free throw line, 50, 40, 90. These look like D-Wade's numbers from 06 Finals. It was ridiculous. And obviously LeBron James was the only bright spot for the Lakers and averaged 28 points, 10 rebounds, 9.5 assists per game, and had a playoff high in Game 4 of 40 points as well, too. So Carl Conyers, man, what was your thoughts on, your expectations versus reality with this series, man?
I definitely didn't think they were going to get swept, I feel like. But I definitely thought the Nuggets were going to win. To me, they're just like the better team. They've been the best team in the league all season, to be honest with you. And that's not even to be honest with you. That's like what the record indicates. So, yeah, I was surprised, honestly, by how close all the games were for the most part, but also that made me have even more faith in the Nuggets going to the finals because they closed out every single game. Like, every time they needed buckets, they got them from somebody, and that's also the thing. It was, like, from somebody. It wasn't always the same person closing out for them. So they just kind of flexed their depth throughout the series, and, it was crazy for sure to see the Lakers go out like that, though.
Yeah, like you said, I didn't expect it to be 4-0. I believe I had the Lakers in 7 for my predictions as well, too. And I think Terrence had Lakers in 6 as well, too. So, boy, were we wrong. But what was funny is my gut was telling me, because we recorded last episode after Game 1, and we were recording last episode during Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals. And just from watching Game 1, I kind of had a feeling it was going to go into the Nuggets' favor, but I was just like, man, let me just go with the Lakers. Like, you still got LeBron, you got AD, you got all this depth. Like, I love the Nuggets, and I remember earlier, I don't know if you were on this episode or whatnot, I said they can get as far as the conference finals, but I just didn't see them sweeping them, which was crazy as well too. It just makes me think about the coaching and just the late game execution, and also Anthony Davis as well too. I mean, what were your thoughts on Anthony Davis this series?
I mean, AD was AD, bro. I mean, This is one thing I will give him is like for the most part, even the games where he quote unquote disappears, he's usually still really good on defense.
Facts.
But that to me, I think there was like one or two games in this series where he really wasn't that great on defense either. And so you just can't. I don't know, bro. You just can't do that. He's the most inconsistent superstar, I feel like. And I don't know, bro. Like I know we're gonna talk about it later, but like I get why LeBron would think about retiring because I don't think they're gonna be able to get off of AD, you know. And he's just not. It's proven plenty of times. Like it was like, okay, I'm supposed to be able to pass the torch on to you, and you carry us and do whatnot, and he just has never been able to do that.
Yeah, it's crazy because the last time these guys matched up was in the bubble. But like I said, this was before, you know, Joker just turned Super Saiyan guy. So I thought this was going to be the series where, you know, AD was basically going to play a little bit more consistent since from a defensive standpoint, Joker isn't all the way there. But if you're making him get work the whole time, he won't have that much. But like you said, this proved to us that AD is, like you said, probably the most inconsistent superstar in the league. So hopefully he can do some soul searching and figure some things out as well too.
Real quick, I just want to say too, so many people were saying, well, the Lakers are going to win because this is the same team from 3 years ago. But it's like, to me, one, it's not because there's different pieces for sure from each team.
Facts.
But also it's the point of like the Nuggets are getting older in a sense of like reaching their peaks.
Yeah.
Versus all the players on the Lakers are getting older in terms of past their peaks.
Past their peaks, yeah.
And that makes a difference. Those 3 years, especially in like basketball, I remember Monte Ellis turned 30 and all of a sudden couldn't play basketball anymore. Like in the NBA, bro, 2-3 years if you out of your prime really makes a difference.
Wear and tear, yeah. And I was also shocked about. I mean, were you shocked about D'Angelo Russell? Because wasn't there a stat like if he at least gets 17 points, they win the game or something like that? That shit was crazy.
D'Angelo Russell sucks in that. Like his playoff numbers are all awful. You
look at the Nets era.
Yeah, the percentages that when he shot when they made it to the playoffs with the Nets, the percentages he shot when they made it with the Timberwolves, and then again this year. He can't play defense. There's a reason why he keeps getting traded all over. And it just proves what it is. I also think, and I don't want to take anything away from him, but I also think it proves if he wasn't in the New York market, he probably wouldn't have made the All-Star team either.
Oh, yeah, and he was in the Eastern Conference as well, too, you know. So it was always a lack of guards over there as well, too. So, yeah, that was crazy. It's a lot different when you're on a team with no expectations, you know what I'm saying? So I was definitely shocked as a third option he was going to kind of play like that as well, too. I kind of wish that Rui Hachimura started from the get-go. Maybe that would have helped make a difference as well, too. But, yeah, just a lot of things to kind of think about within that series as well, too, man. How do you feel about Darvin Ham? For it to be his first year as a head coach, starting off, 3-10, and then, making the play-in and then getting to the conference finals?
I think Ham overall did a good job. I think being able to just kind of get your team together after a start like that and incorporating all the new guys and getting players to kind of like play in their role and some of the changes that he did end up making in the series were good. But this was also his first year as a head coach, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's crazy. First-year head coaches get fired all the time, but
especially
I think
black.
Yeah. But I think, there's going to be some growing pains. Most 9 out of 10 coaches are not great in their first year, but that doesn't mean that you can't become better. And luckily he has LeBron, which helps you win a lot of games too. So I think he did okay. He definitely hasn't been as bad as Mazzulla or some of these other coaches that were in the playoffs. So
No, that's a fact. I agree with you as well too. Damn, man, like if this proved anything this year, it's like LeBron. Obviously, this nigga's been playing for 20 years, but he can't turn on that switch all the time, and I don't think he can be a number one option anymore. So yeah, you're just looking at and pointing at AD. You're just like, dog, I give you this, and you can't help me close. Like that shit was sad, bro. It's kind of sad to see.
Especially when he had 40 the last game. And especially because of that last game when he had 40, he scored 30 in the first half. So he only scored 10 in the second half. But it's also like, it's literally what Jamal Murray did. I think that was maybe game 3. He scored 30 in the first half and only had 7 in the second half. But his team was like, okay, you carried us throughout the first half. We got you.
Mm-hmm.
Bron carried them in the first half, and then the team just was looking back at him like, where your other 30 at? Like, damn, nigga, I'm 40 years old. Like, yeah. So, I think LeBron, some of his teammates let him down. Austin Reeves didn't, though. Austin Reeves is probably the best story from this series for them.
Yeah, honestly, as well, too. Damn, I'm curious what Terrence would think with all this as well, too. So, I'm about to pull up Spot Rack right now, and it looks like going into the 23-24 season, the only players that I think are signed are LeBron James, who is going to be 39, is going to basically make $47 million. AD is going to be making $40 million. Vanderbilt 4.6, and they have a guy named Max Christie as well too. So like, if you're the Lakers, I mean, you got obviously some decisions to make, but if you're putting your GM hat on,
how much like LeBron
is making at his age?
No, is leaving on the table. If Jaylen Brown is about to be making $60 million, that means LeBron easily could have asked for upwards of 50 in his last deal.
Oh yeah, I definitely that's basically what Kobe did during that time when. Before inflation happened and all the revenue, I think he last 2 years was making like 25, 26 mil at the time. Yeah. And then people were like, bro, why don't you do what Dirk did, do what Tim Duncan did, and you can take a little bit less.
It's like they are taking less.
Yeah, they are technically taking less, yeah. But just at that age making that much money is just like, damn, especially with these new restrictions that are going to be in the place. Yeah. It's like how much can you build knowing that you have Anthony Davis, who's injury prone, and knowing that LeBron James is probably realistically not going to play 60-plus games ever again, may not play back-to-backs like that as frequently as well, too. So what do you do with the roster moving forward,
I mean, look, Pelinka, I will say, earned his stripes this year because that team was trash, clearly, and he got them together. I think it's the formula to build a successful LeBron James team has been the same since he was a rookie. So I think it's not necessarily something that's super difficult to figure out, but for some reason it's something they didn't really want to do. I think that going into next season, like for sure they got to retain Hachimura and Reeves. And then after that, like, it's really just get 3-and-D shooters. Like, look at what KCP was doing for the Nuggets. He was doing that on their championship team. Like, you need the people who can just go, okay, like, guard, get you some buckets, maybe get hot. But, yeah, like, dudes like D'Angelo Russell and Troy Brown, a bunch of those, like, they don't. Also, bro, Mo Bamba, like, I remember before Game 4, in Game 3, they was like, "Oh, Mo Bamba's nearing the return. Like he's active for Game 4." Didn't play that nigga, and they didn't play him in the regular season either. So yeah, I think there's a good amount of pieces that they could potentially move, and then also, like you said, they have a bunch of people who are going to be free agents, so they should have like at least their mid-level or something like that where they can get. They could get like this year. I think Bruce Brown is on like an $8 or $9 million contract. Like there's going to be someone out there. They just have to actually go and get them.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't think, like I said, I don't like LeBron at that age doing so much on both ends of the floor, but more so on offense. Being that primary playmaker and also being that number one option. If they do keep him, they do keep AD, obviously, and Reeves is there. Do you think they can? Do you think there's a scenario where LeBron steps back as a number 3 and they give AD and Reeves that number 1, number 2 keys?
I think Reeves is a really good player, but I think for me it's too early to say that he's going to be a number 2 on a really good team. I would like to see. He's only gotten better, so I think that hopefully he'll show some more signs this upcoming year.
Yeah.
But I don't see LeBron as a 3 right now, especially whenever he goes to his like effective moves, they're still as effective as ever. And then also when you have AD, where it's like this nigga's not gonna set the tone. So somebody has to come out here and do it.
Yeah. Man, that's going to be tough as well, too. LeBron James, obviously, at the podium, looks like he was contemplating retirement as well, too. I mean, do you see a scenario where he does retire? I mean, that's 2 years. I know he's made $1 billion already on plus off the field, off the court together as well too. But I don't know. Me, if I got 2 years left on my contract and I'm making $100 million plus for those 2 years, I'm not leaving that on the table. But then again, money isn't everything. But how do you feel about that whole situation with Bron?
I don't think Bron is getting ready to retire. I think he's just at that age where now, like for instance, Tom Brady, I think it was maybe like 3 or 4 years before he actually retired that like he just started kind of like talking about it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And that's just like LeBron is 38 years old. I've been in the league forever. It is something that now I'm going to think about at the end of the year, and that's what he was saying. But I don't think he's at that point yet where he's going to retire. Yeah, I don't really see it as feasible, especially not this upcoming season. We'll see. Maybe, you know, this upcoming season he tears, you know, of course I don't want this to happen, but like tears ACL, something like that, and I could understand him wanting to retire.
Yeah.
But as it is right now,
yeah.
What about you?
No, I don't think he's retiring as well too. He just obviously upset. Like you say, he's getting older. He's probably going to have some off-season ankle surgery as well too. That's something that we don't talk about. So I think he's going to be there for at least 2 more years. I think as he's getting older now, obviously one of his biggest goals was to be one of the first players or the first player to play with his son in the league. But I think it's to the point now where he doesn't even like that was always a dream for him. But I think like he's accepted that's okay if even Bronny needs a little bit more time as well too. How do you feel about Bronny? You think he's gonna? I mean, I know he's gonna get to the league, but do you think he's gonna stay there more than a year?
Oh yeah, no, I think he'll definitely. I mean, look, Austin Rivers got drafted high where he was at and pretty much stayed around because of who he was. I think that Bronny will, and I guess I say that like, of course, Austin Rivers kept himself in the league. I don't want to take that away from him, but I think he was given more opportunities than some other people would have been.
Yeah.
And so I think it's the same with Bronny. Like people aren't going to just quickly give up on LeBron's son, especially if, say, LeBron, for sure, like, his first year LeBron is still there, but say, like, his second year LeBron is still there.
Mm-hmm.
That's just going to, like, if I keep Bronny on my team, then who knows what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
If Thanasis and all the Antetokounmpo brothers have spots on a roster, bro, like, I definitely think Bronny, who, by all accounts, all the scouts are saying, like, he looks at least like a role player. So
yeah. I always thought what's Giannis's brother's name? That's not the one on his team, but the one that was on the Lakers a year or two ago. What's his name?
Alex.
I always thought he like had the frame, the DNA to be decent, especially under Coach Phil Handy. But some people just don't want it.
He was supposed to. Like, he was.
I thought he was gonna be like a diamond in the rough, and he would be a huge piece moving forward for the Lakers, dog, or at least trade bait or something.
Yeah, because the other 2 brothers didn't really have any like hype or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But Alex ended up going to school in the U.S., I'm pretty sure. And so, like, he had a decent amount of hype, and they were saying that he was good. But, yeah, I don't know. I think it's, one, he might not have been trying to grind as hard, but also it is opportunity. Like, that's what people don't really realize is that, say, Giannis gets drafted to a team that doesn't really care about developing their players, then, you know, and no one ever takes the time to actually, like, work with him and have a Jason Kidd and all these other people, like, help build him up, he might have been out of the league in a couple of years.
Mm-hmm. Nah, you're right. That's crazy. I mean, I don't want LeBron James to essentially, you know, have his career be taken away because of injury. I want it to be something where he goes out on his own terms. I mean, you think that's probably, I feel like he's going to be able to retire on his own terms. You think so?
Yeah, I mean.
And when do you think is enough for him? Like, what is enough for him? Because he doesn't have anything to prove anymore.
Yeah, nah. I don't know what's going to be enough for him. I think it'll really just be a point of, like, when he knows I can't really dominate the same anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think we're ever going to see, like, a 10-point per game LeBron James. Like,
No.
I don't think he's going to stay that long. So, yeah, I feel like it'll just be as long as Like, I can actually physically be out there and be able to play at a top 15 level.
That sounds reasonable as well too. Yeah, so I think he's gonna at least play 2 more years, but after 40, I can't see it, but never say never. It's a lot of weird shit, and he has the best body workout plans, everything. He has access to everything.
I think at this point though, it's becoming like his body's in great shape, but I think just in general, as you get older, you just do not have the same stamina. And that is what's showing itself in all these games. You know, like, if this was 5 years ago, he probably could have dropped that other 30 in the second
3
half.
years ago, probably.
Yeah, you know, but it's like when he puts in a lot of energy and effort, you can just see it. Yeah. Like when he's like the beginning of games or when he's like conserving his energy, he's still him. But yeah, you can just tell, like, especially on like a lot of times on defense and sometimes on offense too. He's just like resting, where you didn't really used to see that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's why I wanted them to. That's why I wanted AD to fucking play dominant, like how he's supposed to play, and I also wanted them to have another form of a legit like scoring option like that. Because, like you said, as you get older, you can't. Your body just gives up on you to an extent. So it's gonna be interesting to see, you know, what LeBron wants to do and how the Lakers retool their roster as well too. So I'm definitely going to be, you know, keeping my eyes on that, especially when free agency comes about as well too. So reflecting on the Eastern Conference Finals, the number 8 seeded Miami Heat went up against the number 2 seeded Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals, and the Heat shocked the world and were up 3-0 against the Boston Celtics, and the Celtics were able to force it to a Game 7. And the Celtics ended up losing Game 7, 112 to, I believe, 88. This was the least amount of points that they've scored in a closeout game as well, too. Jimmy or Hemi, I actually heard he had trademarks. Yeah. What was it? Hemi Buckets?
Yeah.
And then what was the other one?
Excuse me. I don't remember the other one. I remember just seeing Hemi Buckets for like merch and coffee mugs.
I meant to freaking send that to you guys in group chat. But anyways, Jimmy Butler became the Eastern Conference Finals MVP, averaging 25 points per game, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. Another notable player, Caleb Martin, had a coming out party, 19 points per game, 6.4 rebounds, 2 assists, and shot 60% from the field and 49% from 3, which was ridiculous. Tatum finished the series with 25, 10, and 4. Obviously, in Game 7, within the first couple seconds, he rolls his ankle and isn't, you know, quite the same. And Brown is under investigation for fraud. Averaged 16 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 41% from the field, 16% from 3, 4 turnovers a game. And like Carl said before everything started, 8 turnovers in an elimination game. And obviously, they were also saying Brogdon had somewhat of an injury as well, too. Man, what were your thoughts on the entirety of the series? I think you said you had the Heat in 6, and I had the Boston in 7. And I think Terrence, did he say he had the Heat in 7? I want to say. But anyways, I owe Terrence money. Not money, I'm sorry. A free meal from our favorite spot in K-Town, Slurpin' Ramen. So when you come back from New York, I got you. But Carl, what were your thoughts on this crazy roller coaster ebb and flow of a series, man?
I think it showed that if the Celtics had the same,
You mean Udoka?
No, well, yeah, that probably, but I think that would have gone into it. Like, if the Celtics had the same locked-in mentality that the Heat had, and were playing with the same effort, they would have won. Yeah, it probably wouldn't have gone to 7 games, but you just weren't. Like, I think they were playing almost like they were just expected to beat them as well. And then it's like, okay, we got our act together, but it's still hard to beat. No matter how things are going, or you guys are playing, they're playing, it's hard to beat a team that just beat you 3 times in a row, 4 times in a row. Yeah. And that's why it's never happened. Never happened. So, they just got themselves down in too deep of a hole and was talking hella trash too, like, don't let us get one. I'm like, all right, bro. So yeah, they just, I don't know, bro. They just didn't have it.
That's crazy. Like you said, they clearly from the top down were the better team. Like if you would have told me that Caleb Moore would outplay Jaylen Brown, I'd be like, "Are you smoking crack?"
Yeah, Jaylen Brown was out there just like here's the ball. I know they just passed it to me, but you're on the other team. I want you to have it. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, can't dribble. Where I saw this earlier, because I know on the last time like we had talked about how Jaylen Brown can't dribble, but I saw Shannon Sharp earlier was like, I found someone with worse handles than Westbrook, and he is correct.
I didn't know you said that.
Yes. At least Brown isn't a point guard, but still, it's like for him to be trying to dribble as much as he does, like it's one thing to not have a handle like that. Okay, then you don't do things that you can't do. But he be acting like he has a handle, and he doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
And like 6 out of those 8 turnovers were literally just him trying to go left to right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like just trying to cross over, and they was just like cookies.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, you know, they're probably gonna split these niggas up.
You think so?
I think
because it would have to be a sign and trade.
Yeah.
In a perfect world, and I said this too, sorry for cutting you off, they're not going to do it. And I know he's a little bit more injury prone, but the fact that he can dribble the ball and facilitate, and he's getting to the point in his career where he can control the pace of the game, if they can.
James Harden?
No, I was going to say Kingram, Brandon Ingram.
Oh, dang, yeah.
That'd be kind of lit. I mean, you lose a step a little bit defensively from him, but I'll take everything else.
But I think that would be like they could figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
But now both your stars are wing players.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like you just need. I feel like we just don't really see that.
Yeah.
It's usually either like, you know, a guard and a wing, or a wing and a center, or a guard and a center.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, like combination of them.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see just kind of like how that would play out.
Yeah.
Them playing so close together. But I mean, it definitely wouldn't be bad, because I think his contract is way better than what Jaylen Brown is about to get paid, and I think that's just they're gonna have 2 guys on these crazy contracts, and they're not they're in a. Of course, it's still Boston, but I think they're still considered like a small market, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they just don't have as much money. I don't know. I just think that it's clear this isn't working. Those 2 don't really have any type of synergy, especially in their play styles. They don't really complement each other. They kind of just like each do what they do, and then it happens to work a lot. But when it gets to moments like this, I think it just kind of shows.
Okay, and then you're saying the 2 forward model doesn't necessarily work. It's kind of weird because he's considered a shooting guard, but it's weird. But anyways, and having said that, what do you think would best complement Jason Tatum? Like what position? Pause.
I mean, he's good at I think his natural position is the 3, but he's also good at the 4. So,
like, do you want a dynamic guard playing with Tatum instead of Brown, or?
Yeah, well, I guess so. I was saying the 2 wings in terms of Ingram and
Tatum.
And Tatum.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I know. Okay. Yeah, Brown is he plays the 3 sometimes, but yeah, he's a 2. I think that just another star. Yeah, probably a point guard would be good, because
I think Marcus Smart's done there too.
Either done, or at least go back to coming off the bench and just be in defense versus trying to like be the starting point guard of the team. I don't really see that for him that much. So I think you know, especially a star center would be great. There's just not really a lot of great big men. Like I wouldn't want Cat. You know, like some of the big name big men aren't really that good. So
especially when it matters most.
Exactly.
How about like if you replaced Robert Williams, or I guess because they play the 4 and 5 right together. What if you replace Robert Williams for like Miles Turner or something like that?
I would try and, if I could, replace Al Horford with Miles Turner and keep Robert Williams, because that would be crazy.
Yeah, I like that too. Or I mean, I think Brook Lopez is a free agent.
He is. That
would be a fire addition, or maybe like I know he's not the best defensively, but I think he would complement Tatum. Vucevic.
Yeah, I don't trust Vucevic either.
Yeah,
I don't. He's good, like you're saying. Like he's really good offensively. I think it just showed when they put this team together in Chicago. Like these big names should be playing better than they are, but none of them is a defensive player at all.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then you lose Lonzo. So.
Yeah. It's just crazy. They've had so much, the Celtics and that dynamic duo have had so much success going to multiple conference finals, had a finals appearance together, and, you know, people are talking about they more than likely can't coexist. So, in saying that, you don't think there's a chance where they can win a championship together?
I mean, if you were to find a way, like, say there's some star who's still, like, on a rookie deal or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, I think that you could put another really good piece next to them, and yeah, potentially. But with the way that the landscape is right now, and especially with, like, the new CBA coming in next year, I think that they have maxed out their potential, and it was great. Clearly, you know, like, they've been to a lot of conference finals, they've been to the finals once, but
And because Jaylen Brown made All NBA, he's entitled to the Supermax as well too.
Yes.
But yeah, we were going over those numbers. It's ridiculous how much money you can earn nowadays. But if you're the GM, because it's Brad Stevens now, right?
Yeah.
What do? You gonna pay him that? I mean, you don't really have a choice because you don't want him to leave for nothing.
Yeah, no, you definitely can't lose him for nothing. You either have to sign him or either sign and trade, or sign him and wait maybe till like mid-season or something like that to find a trade, or sign him and play out this next year and then find it. That is the good thing about it, is like they're still young as hell. You know, like the only old player is really Al Horford, I feel like, on their team.
Mm-hmm.
So they still, in that regard, have, you know, time to figure things out, I feel like. But I think it's just when you've seen a sample size like that from them, it's not like – it just doesn't feel like they're really knocking on the door, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in terms of Jamal Murray and Yoke, you can say, like, okay, well, they've been at it a while too, and this is their first time breaking through. But it just feels like they were kind of building up this whole time versus, like – and, of course, they have gotten better, but it really feels like Brown and Tatum have kind of been at this same level for a while. And then they just – so.
Mm. Yeah, that's going to be interesting. And also, if you're the GM, what do you do with Sir Joe? Because he's been under the coaching staff, but this was his first year as the head coach. I guess credit to him for, even though you're not supposed to be down 3-0, to come back and force a Game 7, I thought was great. But how do you feel about Joe Mazzulla's status and, him being a first-year head coach this year?
I'll say if they do end up getting rid of Brown, I could see a situation where they fire him, just like, okay, we're restarting and stuff like that. But otherwise, like, especially if they do keep Brown, I think, like we were kind of talking about, like, he's a first-year coach, you know, and he wasn't it's another thing to be a first-year coach. It's another thing to be one when you weren't supposed to be one at all. And, like, like, the whole thing with Ime. And honestly, I was reading, and it goes even deeper than that. Like, I think there were two, like, because he's been on the coaching staff since last year under Ime, and there were two other assistants that were ahead of him, but both of them got poached by other teams this offseason. So that also de facto moved him up to number 2 when he wasn't. I think he just wasn't really prepared for that yet, just experience-wise, and then all of a sudden got moved to 1. So it's kind of like he really went from 4 to 1.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, so he just had to learn on the fly. I think that he did a lot of things that it was clear that he was a first-year coach. But at the end of the day, he still got his team to the conference finals Game 7. Mm-hmm. And they still had, like, the second-best record in the league. Yeah. And did a lot of good things. So I wouldn't – unless you're trying to, like, restart things, I wouldn't get rid of him, because it's also, like, if you have championship aspirations, you can't just – like, it's still, to me, bad that they fired Bud, but at least it was like, okay, that was like 4 or 5 years in or something like that. Mm-hmm. I don't think with, like, a championship team, you can just keep firing and hiring coaches.
Yeah. You can't keep niggas on payroll, too. Cool. So we finally, on Thursday, will get our version of WrestleMania. The Nuggets versus the Miami Heat, game one. Obviously, the Nuggets have the better record, so they will be hosting at the Mile High. But the Nuggets and Heat, I think in the regular season, faced off with each other twice in the regular season, and the Nuggets won both games. And then to take it a step further, I don't think the Heat have beat the Nuggets since 2016, which is ridiculous. Their first meeting was I think, December 30th, 2022. Denver Nuggets won 124, 119 behind. Joker's triple-double and KCP splashing in 20. And the second game was March the 10th, 2023, and the Nuggets won, again, 113 to 108. So it seems like the games have been pretty close, which is awesome. Nuggets finished, obviously, the regular season with the best record in the Western Conference. And the Heat, obviously, we know about their Cinderella story. Started off as a play-in team, had the 7th seed, lost to the Hawks, got the 8th seed, 4-1 the Bucks, which was shocking. Got rid of the Knicks in 6, I believe, and then we're up 3-0 and eventually closed out the Boston Celtics. So they beat two teams who had the best overall record in the NBA, which is kind of crazy when you think about it as well, too. So shout out to, Coach Spo and Jimmy Butler for, shocking the world as well, too, because we've never seen anything like this before as well, too. So this will be the first time, the Nuggets have went to the NBA Finals, and the first time that the Nuggets will be meeting up against the Heat in the NBA Finals as well, too. So looks like the Nuggets are, by the odd makers, by Vegas, the favorites to win the series. But we'll see what happens as well, too. What is, the break? What's your breakdown of the series? How it's gonna go? The keys to success, all that stuff.
I think going into this series, the importance of the regular season actually kind of comes back into play.
Mm-hmm.
I think that in these first several rounds in the playoffs, at least for sure, in my opinion as well, it kind of felt like the regular season didn't really matter much in terms of like the seeds that were advancing. But now that we're at the end, you can see like the path that the Nuggets had outside of, even though they swept them, I think the Lakers were clearly a good team.
Yeah.
The path that the Nuggets had though overall was easy because it's supposed to be. You're as the first seed, as the team with the best record.
Facts.
You get to be on the side of the bracket with all the worst teams, and the Heat as the 8th seed on their side of the bracket, like you just said, had to play all the best teams.
Yeah.
So, and then now going to a game 7, I don't think. The Nuggets' longest series was 6.
6.
Yeah. So
5, 6, 4.
Yeah. So I think that we kind of saw it last year in the finals with the Celtics in terms of just like they had 2 game 7s in that run, I'm pretty sure, and they just seemed tired and out of gas by the time the finals came around.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, honestly, I was starting to see it a little bit with this Heat team in game 6 and 7. They already kind of seem like they're tired.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, hopefully, they have a couple of days off in between games, so we'll see how that goes. But I do think just the road to the finals is going to be something that plays a big role on each team and how they perform. And I think the keys to success really is, are you going to be able to – is Bam going to be able to do anything to slow down Jokic? Because AD honestly really couldn't, but at least he could block his shot. Bam is little.
Mm-hmm.
He's not about to just off-vert, be able to block Jokic. So I think, like, the way that he's going to be able to hold his own against Jokic is going to be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I just know all I've been seeing since the Heat won is that, like, Jokic is about to go for 50 on Bam every night. So hopefully that doesn't happen, because if it does, I think that's really it. But I think also how your other people play. Like Jamal Murray still has to play at a high level. Maybe not specifically those same shooting splits, but if he plays, I feel like if him and Jokic play the way they played last series, and your role players, Michael Porter Jr.'s and KCP's and Aaron Gordon's, like, give you decent games, then I think that they're definitely going to win the series.
Mm-hmm.
The only flip side to that is if the Heat kind of play how they were in their first several playoff games, where it was just like they just couldn't miss. and they were doing that for several games at a time. So I think that is, aberrations like that, then it's really hard to beat. But otherwise, to me, they already look kind of worn down. So I don't know. They're going to have to try for sure to keep them, like, off the boards, and just limit a lot of their, like, open looks off of Jokic.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, bro. I can't even think of a lot of – it's just going to be tough for the Heat. And who knows? Maybe they'll shock the world and, like, again, someone's going to have to – Jimmy Butler's going to have some crazy performances, I feel like, to make that happen.
Yeah.
But if they do, then they do.
Yeah. Nah, man. Series is going to be interesting as well, too. Part of me wants to say that the Nuggets are going to win in 5, but just going off of – I know the Celtics were a little bit inconsistent this year, and the Bucks. Obviously, Giannis missed like 2.5 games and whatnot, but to beat the 2 best teams in the league tells me a lot. So I think Jimmy Butler alone can win you 1 game, and I think Coach Spo can have a game plan cooked up to win 1 game. So I think right now I'm going to say the Nuggets are going to win in 6, but like you said, you have to kind of look at which team has the least amount of red flags, kind of like when you look in a date, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And like you said, the Nuggets from day one have been the most consistent team. I mean, they had a small moment when they had a little skid, but they've been pretty relatively consistent. So I'm looking at consistency. Coaching is going to be definitely very interesting as well, too, because he's definitely going to go up against, if not the best or one of the best coaches in the NBA right now. Mike Malone's going to go up against Spo compared to Darvin Ham. Obviously, the piece is a little bit different, so I'm excited to see what the adjustments are going to be as well, too. Coming out of timeouts, coming out of halftime. We'll see what happens as well, too. I know the Nuggets really haven't gotten that zone thrown at them that way as well, too, so I'm also curious to see how Joker's going to react. But Joker's one of the, if not, like, behind Bron and, like, CPs of the world, is probably one of the smartest players in the league. So I'm going to be curious to see how Joker responds to the zone and how long it takes him to respond to that zone. I think AD is a better rim protector than Bam, but I think overall defensively, like how Bam's able to switch 1 through 5, I think I'll give him a slight edge. But like you said, he's not as big as AD, so he's going to have his work cut out for him as well too. If Bam can play how he played when they went up 3-0, where like he's getting the ball from the rebound and going straight attack mode. You gotta find a way to try to get Joker in foul trouble. I don't really see that happening. Like, especially as the series went on, like you said, when they got worn down, they weren't really getting that many free throws. Like Game 7, they had attempted 6 free throws, I think. So it's gonna be interesting to see what's gonna come about that as well too. But like you said, both of these teams are the best 3-point shooting teams throughout the entire playoffs. So if Miami can shoot lights out, it's going to be real crazy. And I'm also thinking, too, like, no one's been there before on the Denver Nuggets as well, too. And that's not to say that they won't play well, but I'm curious to see if MPJ. KCP's been there. You're right. I'm sorry about that. KCP's been there in the bubble, yes. So I'm curious to see, like, who's going to play well, who's not going to play well. Like, do you think KCP is going to be consistent for a 7-game series? MPJ is going to shoot lights out. Aaron Gordon's going to give you that as well too. I'm pretty confident with Joker, obviously. I'm pretty confident with Murray. But with Murray, you gotta make him work too. I feel like no one was really making him work too much in that series as well too. So I'm curious to see when he gets any switches on to him, how that's going to be. And the Lakers really weren't getting Joker in too many pick and rolls like that. So I want to see if they're going to attack Joker a little bit more this series as well too. They also said Tyler Hero is going to be back by Game 3 as well. I know he's going to kind of get thrown into the fire as well too, but I think you're going to need someone who can score the ball. How efficient is he going to be? What is he going to give you defensively? I'm not quite sure, but that's definitely another weapon that you can, definitely give, 20, 25 minutes to see what he got as well, too. So I think right now I'm going to go with the Nuggets in 6 just off the respect of the Heat, their culture, their tenacity, their togetherness, their will to win. But the Nuggets are just a better team, and they're not going to make as many bonehead-ass mistakes as the Boston Celtics. So I got the Nuggets in 6. How many games you got? Because you've been right all this damn time.
And yeah, I definitely got the Nuggets, and I want to say 5. I think that Tyler Hero coming back is going to be more of a detriment.
Mm-hmm.
He's really just not that, bro. I'm going to be honest with you.
Jordan Poole last nigga.
Yes, absolutely is what he is. And also you can look at like that first year in the playoffs when they went to the finals in the bubble, he shot 43 from the field, 37 from 3, and averaged 16 points. Since then, the next year in the playoffs, he averaged 31% from field, 31 from 3.
Oh, he only got swept by the Bucks, yeah.
Next year after that, he averaged 40 from the field, 22% from 3. So, and that was 9 points and 12 points respectively. So, like,
he also got injured last year too, right?
I think maybe at the end of it.
Towards the end, yeah. I don't think he played against Boston, or maybe played 1 or 2 games.
Yeah, but he just, to me, whenever they have needed him for a bucket, I have not seen him hit it, which is also something why I think that Austin Reeves' value is going to be so high, because every time they needed him for a bucket in this series, and honestly throughout these playoffs, like, and you found him open, he was hitting the shot. So I think that, Hero is a huge defensive liability. He's going to be coming back off an injury. So I think he's also the type to be hunting for his shot. And the way that they've been able to play right now is so synergistic. And, like, for instance, I don't think you have a Caleb Martin last round if you still have Tyler Hero. Because he doesn't have the confidence to be shooting those shots, and he doesn't have the opportunity to be shooting some of those shots. So I don't know, man. Tyler Hero played 1 game. This is the team that made it to the finals. I don't know if throwing someone in, especially in Game 3, is going to be good for them.
Yeah. We'll see. Yeah, you're right. I mean, they've gotten this far without him, so yeah, we'll see. I can just see him taking, like, Max Strus minutes, or even Duncan Robinson's minutes. Or
he would definitely take Duncan Robinson's minutes. But Duncan Robinson ended up hitting some really good shots for them.
And I think Duncan Robinson can actually play in this series as well, too, especially with them playing so much goddamn zone. And now I'm thinking about, like, who do you match up on who, too? Obviously, Bam's going to be on Joker. Gordon's probably going to be guarding Jimmy. So Michael Porter Jr. is probably – who he going to guard? He going to be on Caleb Martin? And then KCP is going to be on
probably Strus, and then
Strus.
Jamal on Gabe Benson, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. So
they're going to have to use up to play his own. Really.
Yeah. So, and also Miami Heat is the best team. I think they have the best differential off points of turnovers. But I think the Nuggets are one of the best fast break teams. So it's going to be a very interesting series. But I feel like the Nuggets, like, you can't really stop them from scoring the basketball. So I'm going to be curious to see where the Heat are going to get their points from.
Yeah, that's really the thing of, like, the Heat, when they well, not always, because they've been really high from 3 in a lot of these games, but sometimes it feels like it's taking a lot for them to, like, they have to run X amount of plays or something like that to get things off.
Yeah.
Versus the Nuggets, I feel like they're just they score with ease, and they clearly have a lot more offensive-minded players. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna enjoy this series as well too. I really thought it was going to be the Celtics. Boy, was I wrong, man.
That's what everybody was saying. Like, the NBA was trying to fix some of these games so we could get Celtics-Lakers, but they couldn't do nothing with the way they was playing.
Yeah, it's definitely. I hope it's a great series. I think it's at least going to be. I think it's going to be competitive. Like even though the Nuggets swept the Lakers, that was still a good series to watch because it was so close. So even if it's lopsided in the win disparity, I think it should still be relatively pretty close. We're gonna see how the altitude is game 1, and boy.
Yeah, that's for sure.
But I feel like Jimmy and he gonna be locked the fuck in. Like they've stolen they've stolen home games from all these top teams. I can definitely see them potentially splitting one game in Denver. I say one game in Denver, one game in Miami. That's it.
We have to get a Jimmy performance one of these finals games. You know, I feel like there has to be one game where he just wins them the game. So that it could be game 1 or 2. That's really gonna be. But I don't think the Nuggets are not the Celtics. You're not gonna be able to lose or to beat them at home.
Yeah,
you're gonna have to win your home games, and well, I guess I'll say this: it's not gonna be as easy for you to beat them at home. You're gonna have to win one of these home games. You're not gonna be able to just win all the ones on your own court. So.
No, it should be a good series, man. I'm looking forward to it. So I think right now, because earlier today I said them in 5, but I'm gonna give the Heat a little bit more respect, especially with their journey they've been through. So I'm gonna say Nuggets in 6. And then you said how many games again?
That's tough, bro.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna go with 5.
Nuggets in 5. Nuggets in 5. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first by Carl Conyers. Nuggets in 5. Coming down to
7 though, because I want to keep watching basketball.
Me too. 7. Are they gonna have more break in between these days, or is it gonna be every other day?
I think it'll probably be 2 days in between some of these games.
At least for travel, 2 days, right? Yeah. Okay.
I remember the finals usually it'd be like. I remember getting to a point where I'm like, dang, where the game? When is the next game gonna be? So.
Yeah, and it's always a blessing. Like, since I've been on the East Coast my whole life, and I've been here the past 2.5 years, like, to watch basketball early and still have a little bit of time in your day, that's clutch. So, and I think the games are starting earlier than they were in previous years too. So, one thing I wish in a perfect world, for halftime we can still get the TNT crew. That would be fire.
Yeah, they done. That shit sucks.
All going fishing. So, last topic, Nick Nurse over the weekend became the new coach for the Philadelphia 76ers. So, new coach for the Philadelphia 76ers is Nick Nurse, who guided the Toronto Raptors to the 2019 NBA title, and he reportedly agreed to become the new coach of the 76ers. After choosing Philadelphia over the Phoenix Suns, he will replace Doc Rivers, who could not take the 76ers past the second round yet again of the playoffs, even though they had, Joel Embiid and James Harden as well, too. Nurse obviously is known for his unorthodox and creative strategies, as well as his connection to the 76ers president, GM Daryl Morey, who hired him to coach the Houston Rockets G League team in 2011. So some notable coaching stats for Nick Nurse: in 390 games as the head coach of the Toronto Raptors, Nurse won 227-163, had a 58% winning percentage during 5 regular seasons at the helm, including a pair of his first place finishes in the Atlantic Division. In his 5 seasons leading the Raptors, Nurse made the postseason 3 times and won a title in 2018-19 as a first-year head coach. And they missed the playoffs, obviously, in 2021, 2023. And then he has a 61% winning percentage in the playoffs compared to Doc Rivers' 52%, obviously. Doc Rivers play a little bit more, so it's going to be a little bit lower. And in 2020, he was named Coach of the Year, leading the Raptors to a 53-win record as well, too. And he also set the franchise records for points per game, assists per game, and threes made per game in his first year as a head coach for the Toronto Raptors. What are your thoughts on Nick Nurse becoming the new head coach of the Philadelphia Process 76ers?
I think, especially because, the report said that he turned down the job in Phoenix to take this one.
Mm-hmm.
I think that makes a lot of sense because, one, KD and Book, especially KD, but also Book, are very injury prone. And then you just don't know the state of that team at all. Like, DeAndre Ayton definitely doesn't want to be there. Chris Paul clearly doesn't need to be there. So you don't even kind of know what's going to happen there. And I know, of course, you don't know what's going to happen with James Harden, but I feel like that's just kind of more pieces. Then you throw in the injuries. Then you throw in the West. Like, why would I go to the West where all of these teams looked really good versus going to the East where, of course, this year, like, the Heat made it in. But outside of that, it's really, like, the top 3 teams that people are worried about in the East. So and you get to be one of them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, I think that decision made a lot of sense. I mean, we'll see what he's able to do. I don't necessarily know that Nick Nurse is an amazing coach because
you already had a well-established team. LeBron leaves. And you had Kawhi.
He had a well-established team. He had Kawhi. That was a huge part of it. But then also, to me, the big part is like that finals. I feel like everybody knows like you don't win that finals if KD doesn't tear his Achilles and then Clay tears his ACL. Like you have two of the, especially at that time, two of the top 15-ish players in the league go down with season career-altering injuries over the course of that series. And honestly, it was still kind of a series after that when it was just Steph by himself. So I just think some of the postseason accolades he has aren't really, they don't hold as much weight as necessarily like all his regular season stuff. That's real. Can't take anything away from him there. But yeah, I just think that, you took Kawhi off that team, and that next year they were still pretty good, but they didn't really do much in the playoffs. And then since then, they just have been kind of an average, mediocre team. Yeah. So, we'll see. This is, again, I guess clearly he did prove that he could win with a star player. So now he'll back to be having a star player, and we'll see, how that works out. But I just don't think, to me, Nick Nurse has made his mark in the NBA, if that makes sense. Like, I just don't know if he's not the type of person where, like, for instance, when you got Doc Rivers, even though it didn't end up happening, you feel like, okay, I can win X amount of games, or he's going to help us go far. There's some of these, when you get a Monty Williams or you get, like, some of these other coaches, like, you kind of feel like, okay, I don't feel badly with Nick Nurse, but I definitely just don't have that same, like, positive about it. So that, to me, is really just going to be a toss-up. But I think everything with them still hinges on, and it doesn't get, no, not even that. Like, it doesn't get talked about as much anymore because he's definitely doing better in terms of his health. But Joel Embiid, like, again, this postseason he was injured.
Second
and he
round
was
all the time.
yeah, bro, and he wasn't playing like, MVP, I'm averaging 32 and 12 a game. And then now I'm in the playoffs and I'm averaging 22 and like 8. And that in itself, like, it don't matter how good you coached up. If your MVP is playing like a guy who might barely make an All-NBA team, how are you going to win? So we'll just see, man. I hope for Nick Nurse's sake that he can stay healthy, because I really think that the Sixers go further if Joel Embiid is actually able to play like how he played during the regular season. Yeah. And I think then probably Doc Rivers doesn't get fired.
Yeah, and there's also been a lot of rumors that James Harden was the mastermind behind getting Doc Rivers fired. I know Doc Rivers has a history of just blowing leads, and he hasn't got out of the second round in a long time. But like you said, your players at the end of the day are the ones on the fucking court. And if they played better, they could have won Game 7. You know what I'm saying? And no one's talking about this right now. So.
And didn't they get blown back in Game 7 too?
Yeah. 50 ball at Tatum.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he did snap on them, bro. And then you got James Harden, who gave you two great games.
Great games, yeah.
And then 2 games where you like, is this D'Angelo Russell? So.
Yeah, and I'm curious, like you said, obviously you have a little bit more of a certainty and a better trajectory for success being in the Eastern Conference, like you said. But do you think he got the job in mind, like knowing that James Harden is going to go or stay? Like, how do you feel about that?
I mean, I hope at least maybe that he has some type of insight on that. But by all accounts, it seems like James Harden wants to be somewhere else.
Yeah.
So, I hope that this year is a player option he has, right?
Yeah, so he can leave.
Decline, yeah. So you just gotta hope. I don't know who they replace him with. Luckily, the good thing is they only traded Ben Simmons to get him. So it's not like you lost like a whole lot. But
do they still have their draft picks, or
I'm sure they probably had to attach some picks or something to it.
Yeah.
But overall, just not as bad as losing him, and then you had already traded Maxey and a bunch of other people to get Harden, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I think at least if he does leave, that frees up like 35 or to 40 million in cap space.
Mm-hmm.
Potentially they could go grab somebody else.
Yeah.
I don't really know. Like, I will say, like, Dame, he's someone.
In a perfect world, definitely want Dame there.
But
I wish Dame was there in the first place over Harden.
yeah. So I just don't know. Those are two players, though, that, like, Dame doesn't want to leave Portland. And even if he kind of does now, they definitely don't want to trade him if they don't have to. And Joel Embiid is not leaving Philly. So I don't know how they get on the same team, but yeah, I feel like that's really the match that's made in heaven.
Mm.
I don't really see a lot of, like, I wouldn't want to replace James Harden with Jaylen Brown, some of these other players. I don't really know who's, like, available that would be a good fit next to Embiid.
Yeah. I really like Brandon Ingram with a lot of teams, but that's not going to happen. But
I just don't know, though. Do you think that because one, the good thing about James Harden and Joel Embiid is they're, again, like, very synergistic. Like, I'm averaging 11 assists because I'm running pick and rolls with you, and, like, I can get you your spots and stuff like that.
mm-hmm.
Brandon Ingram, like, he definitely has a good handle for his position and also is a good passer for his position, but he's not that, you know. So I don't know if he necessarily elevates them past where they were at with James Harden.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, like, they'll still be a good team, but I just don't know in terms of, like, fit for the team, unless you're maybe able to, like, flip Tobias and some other stuff for, you know, like another guard or something like that. But
yeah,
I don't know if Ingram is the one to kind of
get them to the next level.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's also true as well. I think you gotta try to find a way to flip Tobias, and then, like you said, if all signs are pointing to James Harden wanting to leave, and he opts out, maybe you have to try to do a sign and trade. So I would definitely try to move on from those two for sure, because James Harden's proven you can't win with him.
Yeah, no, you can't trust him. That's like what it be. Is like, I can't trust you. And then you also want to complain, like, one of the reasons that he was saying he might leave is, like, I want to get back to playing my style of basketball.
You
but
can't,
it's like,
he's delusional at that point.
Well, to me, it's also like your style of basketball never won you anything. Like, you just put up a bunch of points. And also, to be honest with you, it really hasn't won a lot of players anything. Like, you look at Kobe, when he averaged 35, the team was not good. Michael Jordan, a lot of his when he averaged 38, that team was not good. You know, like, that is not usually conducive to winning. And especially when we look at a lot of these teams that have won recently, like, they play within a flow. It's not just one guy running the show the entire time. So you basically saying that, like, I can't learn how to play off of another great player, to me just proves that you're just probably about to go somewhere just to make money and put up stats for the rest of your career, which is cool. That's what you want to do.
That's what you want to do, yeah. Yeah, man. I think the 76ers reached their peak, honestly. Even with the East being still sort of wide open, I just can't see it right now, them getting to the conference finals. I think they'll still win 48 to 50 games, but it's just so many red flags with them. So, I'm happy for Nick Nurse, but only time will tell, I guess. I just don't believe in the 76ers anymore.
And I just think they're really, like, not to go too deep on it, but the injury stuff again, like, Joel Embiid he's getting close to 30 now. You know, because, like, we forget he
missed like
came
the first
in.
two seasons.
He missed his first 2 seasons, and he was already, I think, like 20 or 21 or something like that when he first came in. So it's like he's only getting older on these already terrible knees. And to me, it's like they're wasting his prime years already. Like, I really think this window is like 1 to 2 more years of him playing at this very high level. I think he could still be a good, you know, player for a decent amount of time, but I think that stuff is going to start taking its toll on him soon.
So within 1 to 2 years, like what Shaq was when he went to Miami or something like that?
Yeah, exactly. Something like that, where it's like you're still good, but you're not the best player on your team probably, or a best player on a really good team.
Yeah. Damn. Yeah, okay. Any closing remarks for episode 132? I was gonna do real rapid cat, but there's not much to talk about, right now. So we gonna hold real rapid cat for next episode.
Yeah, it's kind of everything is gonna once the finals is over. That's when it's gonna get. I will say the NBA has done a really good job
of staying relevant year round,
manipulating the media cycle year round. Like whether it's free agent like before even free agency starts, like the bombshells of people declining their options, doing this, that. When free agency does start, trades, draft, because we still have the draft coming up soon. All of that. So, and summer league will be soon enough too.
I kind of want to go to a game in the summer league since Vegas only 4 hours drive.
Yeah. They're not that expensive, are they?
I never checked. I hope
they better not be.
Yeah.
Watch a bunch of G League players. I feel it. So no, I'm excited to see the series. I think that regardless of how short or long it is, that it'll be a good series because the talent that Denver has is undeniable, and the heart and the grit and the coaching that the Heat have is undeniable as well. Good. So I don't really see a lot of blowouts in the series.
Yeah,
which is all you can really ask for.
Yeah, very well said from both sides. So I was really fucking with that. Ladies and gentlemen, that was episode 132 of the Seezus Show. Make sure to subscribe on all platforms at The Seezus Show, at Sir Seezus, at Conyers. We are out.